Picture this. Your net worth is measured in the billions, but when you suddenly need a fraction of that in actual cash to save your empire, the bank accounts are empty. For decades, Donald Trump's wealth was built on physical assets. Office towers, sprawling resorts, and golf courses made up the vast majority of his multi-billion-dollar portfolio. But you can't pay legal bills with a golf course. Selling commercial real estate takes months or even years. Trying to liquidate those properties quickly in a forced sale means accepting massive financial losses. Heading into the 2020s, this structure left his empire heavily exposed. If an immediate, massive legal fine ever hit, he would face an immediate cash shortage. That stress test arrived in the form of defamation and sexual abuse lawsuits brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. In May 2023, a federal jury found Trump liable, awarding Carroll $5 million in damages. Then, in January 2024, a separate jury ordered him to pay $83.3 million for additional defamatory statements he made during his presidency. This graphic shows the cash demand stacking up against his liquidity. You see the initial $5 million, followed by the $83 million. To appeal these verdicts, the legal system requires a defendant to post a bond covering the full amount plus interest. With a $7.4 million interest adjustment, Trump had to lock up nearly $100 million in cash. That wasn't the only threat. Simultaneously, a New York judge ruled Trump owed over $450 million in a civil business fraud scheme. Combined, these legal bonds created a massive demand for cash on hand. The total required by the courts exceeded typical billionaire reserves, putting Trump in real danger of liquidating his physical properties. By August 2025, an appeals court voided the massive civil fraud penalty. That decision released the heaviest pressure on his cash reserves. The E. Jean Carroll defamation damages, however, did not go away. In mid-2026, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to review the appeal on the initial case. Following that decision, a federal judge ordered the release of $5.8 million directly to Carroll. For the second judgment, a U.S. Circuit Court paused the $83 million payment while waiting for a formal Supreme Court review. But the court required Trump's massive cash bond to remain locked in place. The immediate threat of bankruptcy had passed, but nearly $100 million of his cash was still officially paralyzed by the courts. He needed a radical new source of liquid capital. Instead of selling his buildings, Trump leveraged his political movement to generate highly liquid cash. First, he launched a series of high-margin retail products, selling brand-licensed sneakers, fragrances, and guitars directly to his supporters. Next, he entered public digital media through Trump Media and Technology Group. Even though the company operated at a steep loss, its stock provided him with massive on-paper equity. The most lucrative component was his aggressive expansion into cryptocurrency and virtual tokens, launching ventures like World Liberty Financial. This chart compares his traditional real estate income against his new digital earnings. Last year, the Trump Group earned $34 million from real estate licensing transactions. In that same time frame, his crypto ventures generated over $1 billion in income. He turned his political loyalists into a retail and digital market base. This created a geyser of liquid cash that bypassed traditional banking and real estate entirely. In 2023, his assets were tied up in buildings and legal bonds. By 2026, his wealth shifted toward accessible digital assets and cash. Because of this pivot, his core physical real estate portfolio remains completely intact. Not a single iconic property was sold to satisfy the courts. The $90 million in defamation damages were ultimately absorbed seamlessly by the influx of capital from his new digital empire. In the justice system, defamation damages exist to create severe financial pain, acting as a deterrent against future behavior. But a new wealth model has emerged: political and commercial brand equity. It insulates a public figure by converting political devotion directly into market capital. This model acts as a financial shield. It proves traditional legal penalties struggle against modern, hyper-monetized political figures who can easily crowdsource their liabilities. The defamation judgments accelerated a shift in Trump's financial model. He traded the vulnerability of physical buildings for the speed of digital markets, leaving his real estate portfolio intact while building a cash reserve that court-ordered penalties could no longer drain.